Jersey, we've got some of the toughest gun laws of any state in the country. And we're the most densely populated state in the country. And we got a few people with some tempers there. So, you got to be careful. You got to be careful about what's going on in our state. But the fact is that I think these are determinations that should be made state by state. And each state should be able to make their own determination about what's going on.
You have supported the gun control laws, which are pretty strict in the state of New Jersey.
I have, because that's what the people of our state want.
New Jersey Governor and 2016 GOP presidential candidate Chris Christie back in 2013 talking about his state's gun laws. Christie has had issues with the NRA in the past, receiving a C grade from the organization, but Christie just received a key endorsement in New Hampshire by the state's major newspaper, the Union Leader. As he seeks the party nomination for president, will his stance on gun control hurt him? Let's bring in our political panel. Skyping in from Indianapolis, former White House spokesman for President George W. Bush, Pete Seat. Hi, Pete. And from Newsmax New York, senior political contributor for Forbes.com, Rick Unger. Welcome to you both. Pete, let's get into it. How much does the New Hampshire Union Leader endorsement help Christie in that state? He hasn't been polling very well as of now.
Well, let's start with the bad news first, Rick. They endorsed Newt Gingrich in 2012, Steve Forbes in 2000, and Pete DuPont, remember him, in 1988. So they've not had the most stellar track record in their endorsements in their own state. But this is giving Chris Christie a second look. He is undoubtedly the flavor of the week in this Republican primary. And remember, it wasn't too long ago that he was left for dead, and his obituary was written politically in papers across the country, on television shows. They broadcasted in big, bold letters that he was done and over with. And I think people will give him a second chance, a second look, and we'll have to see what he's able to make of it.
What do you think, Rick? People haven't really been attacking Christie on this gun record because he's been kind of off everybody's radar.
Yeah, well, I mean, unfortunately, Pete's got it exactly right. In the people that they've endorsed that didn't go anywhere, it would have been nice, Pete, to leave out my friend Steve Forbes, but we'll let that go by. But you're absolutely right. Look, it's hard to say. Actually, what's more interesting is a very powerful political couple in the state, one that has enormous influence with voters. They came out and endorsed Christie today. So, it's going to be fascinating to see. In terms of the gun thing, I don't think that that's going to gain a lot of steam at this point in the election. Further on down the road, it could. I think, look, his best chance is obviously to come out of New Hampshire with his ticket punched to whatever comes next. If he doesn't do that, it's not going to matter anyhow. If he does, then when they start taking shots at him, I don't mean to be funny, then maybe we'll start to hear about his gun record a bit more.
Yeah, New Hampshire pretty important for the Christie campaign. Now, after the Aurora movie theater shootings, Christie backed the president's comments on gun control. Let's take a listen to that.
Listen, I agree with the president on this. I think that we've got enough gun laws now, and it's time for us to aggressively enforce the gun laws that we have, which I think we do fairly well here in this state.
Christie has also received criticism for praising President Obama's Hurricane Sandy relief efforts. We all remember that famous man hug between the president and Christie right before the 2012 election. What was your take on that, Pete? Do you forgive Chris Christie for that hug? And do you think it swayed any voters heading into 2012?
You have to be honest about the fact that New Jersey is a very different state. It's decisively blue, and to be a Republican to win statewide there, you've got to be a little different. And Chris Christie is definitely that. He's very different in how he approaches these situations. But you go back to that first clip when it comes to gun control. He's very much a states' rights advocate, which a lot of governors are on a lot of issues, and he believes it should be left up to states. But what's also interesting in a lot of his comments on gun control is he immediately pivots to the harsh rhetoric that surrounds this issue and how people try and score political points on gun control. And I think if he were to become the nominee and get to a general election, that's the kind of message, that populist message, that could resonate with voters.
Rick, I want to get your take. 2 months from tomorrow, the Iowa caucus, February 1st. What's your sense right now of the Republican race? We saw the latest poll from Reuters, Donald Trump actually dropping 12 points, 43% to 31%. But where are we right now, 2 months to those Iowa caucuses?
I think the honest answer is you can't tell, because Iowa is all about ground game. It's all about the ability of these candidates to get the people out to the caucuses who are going to vote for you. We don't know yet if Trump has that kind of ground operation, so it remains to be seen. But I do want to point this out in talking about both Trump and Chris Christie. We have seen this movie before, and we forget. We saw this back when Pat Buchanan ran for president. He came in second in Iowa. He won New Hampshire. And all of a sudden, the rest of the Republicans said, hey, we got to stop this guy. Now, what they did then was they coalesced. All the candidates fell in behind Bob Dole. And Bob Dole, of course, went on to absolutely cream Pat Buchanan. What we don't know this time is if there is an establishment candidate that people will get behind. What's interesting about the past couple of weeks that Chris Christie has had, it may turn out that he might be it.
Rick, I got to jump in. We're going to have to finish that thought another time. Thanks so much, guys. We're coming right back.